Hey folks, in this episode, it's all about digitizing family memories with Derrick Story. This is TWIP. Hey, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Photo. I'm your host, Frederick Van Johnson. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of sitting down with a longtime friend of mine, veteran podcaster, photographer, marketer, entrepreneur, all those things, Mr. Derrick Story. Derrick's in the house to talk to us about one of his latest projects, and it's called, as you may have guessed, Digitizing Family Memories. Derrick Story, welcome to the show, man. How's it going?
Thank you, Frederick. It's going well indoors.
Yeah, you're hermetically sealed inside of your house right now.
I am.
But you're keeping busy, man. You're keeping busy over there. And like I was saying before we started this interview, I don't want this interview to be a catch-up interview because you and I haven't talked in a while. I want to talk about this project that you have going on so we can share it with, other people that may need something like this. So before we dive in, for the folks, the one or two people on the planet who may not know who Derrick Story is, give us your sort of elevator pitch. Who is Derrick Story?
Longtime photographer, writer, podcaster. I got a podcast called The Digital Story that has been going since 2005.
Wow. That's before I was born.
Craziness. Now, I do online teaching with LinkedIn Learning and lynda.com. So a little bit of everything, just like a lot of us these days, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You say a little bit of everything, but it really is focused what you do. It's all education, e-learning, and within the bubble of photography, right? So
exactly. And as it kind of spills into other areas of technology. Absolutely. Yeah.
Which keeps it interesting. You're always evolving and trying new things, right? So, which is really cool,
right?
Yeah. You were podcasting before I started podcasting, right? Which is at least a decade. Yeah. So you've been podcasting forever, literally.
Forever, for 730 some odd episodes, I think.
Holy crap! Yeah, I'm not even half that. Yeah, and it's it's interesting. The podcasting world itself, you started when you had to explain to everyone what a podcast was, and now now it's the hip thing. Yeah, I got a podcast, and you're cool suddenly, right?
Well, we talked about, we used to say it's going to get to a tipping point someday, and I think we're here, right?
Yeah,
we're here.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Joe Rogan. So
yes,
we're definitely here. So let's talk about this project that you have going on, digitizing family memories. Set the stage for it. Obviously, I can tell what it is by the title, but why now, and what's the spin that Derrick Story is putting on it?
Well, the reason why now is because a lot of photographers were sheltered in during the pandemic, and what's a good project to do? What's that thing that you've been procrastinating on that hasn't been, hasn't been done? And here it is, right here. It's the shoebox, right?
Yeah, let's call that's a with Sonoma County shoebox, right? I love it.
Full of stuff that we've inherited from family members that we haven't done anything with, that needs to be addressed at some point. So I was thinking, what's the main reason that keeps people from doing this? And it's just they can't get their head around it, right? It's too big. It's too crazy. So I thought, what if I did an online thing that helped people get their head around it, that broke it down into parts that they could digest, and then actually give them a sense of accomplishment during this shelter-in-place time.
That's cool. So give them something to do because like you and I, again, we were talking before in the green room, as it were, about this is exactly an issue that I have. Like I'm the youngest of 5 kids in my family and the only photographer, which I'm sure a lot of people are in the listening audience. And, as a result of that, my dad, the patriarch of the family, has made me the archivist or archivalist or the keeper of the family memories. So I have 8mm film. I've got albums with black and white shots that are about to fall apart. I've got negatives, slides, all this stuff that is like a monkey on my back of, okay, I need to preserve this stuff for future generations because I'm not getting any younger either. So am I the target customer for what you're putting together there?
You are, and then folks a little bit, more snap shooter than you, and folks maybe, well, I don't think there's anyone more professional than you. Some more folks more
yeah, there are
snap shooter than you. But one of the things I wanted to do was give different methods. Like some people, yeah, they're going to want to use their digital camera and shoot raw files and do all that stuff. Other people aren't going to want to do that or can't do that, and they're going to want to use their iPhone, for example, to digitize this stuff. Some people are going to use Lightroom and have extensive catalogs. Other people are going to, throw them in photos. So I wanted to have stuff for everyone at all those different levels, so you could kind of pick what works best for you.
Yeah, one of the things is for me at least, because all my interviews are selfish. It's all about me, right? So it's like one of the things is just getting started. It's like there's this all this stuff, and I got to organize it, and it's like generations back, so I don't know everyone. I don't know what's important. There's just it's a mountain that's easier left under the bed, Derrick. So how do you get me to get that box from under the bed and get it going? I know once I start, I'm not going to be able to start or stop, but it's that getting started spot. How do you get past that hump?
So what I did was that for the first week you work on this, I had people pick just 100 images, and snapshots are the best way to go. So I said, just go through there, take a stack of them, do a yay nay, and pick out the ones that that you really want to have digitized, because there's going to be a lot of stuff in there that, quite frankly, Frederick, you don't need to do anything with, right? It's just, just like when we do a shoot, we shoot 100 shots. We don't keep all 100, we don't, work on it. We keep the best ones and put the rest away. So I had each person that, participated in this take 100, just get 100, and that is what they're going to work through the whole time. And the reason why I do that is you can get your head around that 100, and it gives you flexibility to work on your workflow, to experiment, try different things, say, oh, that didn't work, but that did. And then when you get to the end of the process with that 100, then you have a workflow, and then you can go back if you want, pick another 100 and, and go through it and pick another 100. And so instead of trying to do all 10,000, and believe me, I had to work with folks on this. Some people go, no, I got 20,000. I go, dude, you're never going to get to one of them if you try to do all 20,000. Pick 100 and then work out your system. And that, I think, is one of the keys to this.
Yeah, it's like, who's it? Rick Salmon. I think it was Rick Salmon used to say or says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah, 100 at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, break it into parts. That's the way to do it. So but it's hard sometimes to get people to do that. But once they do, once they buy into that, then everything gets a little easier.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's if you frame it like that, that, okay, you're not, Frederick, you have 20,000 images and media, let's call it, under the bed, and we're only going to tackle 100 of that just to get it started, and kind of, then my brain is like, oh yeah, I could do that. But I can tell you how my brain works is I'm going to do 100, and then I'm going to be like, well, I should just do another 100 real quick.
Right.
Then it'll be done. That's how, but it's that getting started part. Go ahead.
Well, let me just say one other thing on that. You want to get to what we call the I rule moment. And what that is that, you're working on something, you're not sure, and then at some point you're successful and you go, I rule, I rule, I rock.
Yeah.
And when you have that, then you get momentum. And you're not going to get that with, when you're overwhelmed, but you can get that when you get when you get to show someone, look what I did. Here's a catalog with 100, and they look great, and they all have metadata and everything, and they go, wow, you rule. And they go, yeah, I know.
Oh, geez. Yeah, metadata. You're talking now. You're scaring me, Derrick.
Yeah, I know.
So, I just want to scan it. I just want IMG _ 5002 dot whatever, right? So, exactly. You're taking it too far now. So let's put a fine point on what this thing is. The Digitizing Your Family Memories project. Is it an altruistic project where you're just teaching people how to do it? Is this a for pay service? Is it a tutorial? What form does it take?
Well, it's sort of yes to all of that. So one of the original things was I wanted to do something special for my Patreon members. So for them, it was a gift to my Patreon members to tell them thank you. Like right now, I really appreciate them. And then for everyone else, people that aren't really interested in doing that, then I just put it on the Nimble Photographer in the online workshops area, and it's something that they can purchase and do anytime they want. So it's both. It's both. It's both a gift and a revenue stream.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so here's devil advocate. I gotta ask the devil's advocate question. I've interviewed people on this show and services on This Week in Photo that specialize in this, and they'll say, you know what, just that shoebox that you held up, we'll give you a mailing label, ship that to us, we'll white glove it, scan everything in, and then send it back to you, and then email you a username and password of a gallery that you can then go through and look and download and do whatever you want with. Why would I want to go the digitizing your family memories route versus just, okay, here you go, take care of it, and then send them back to me?
Yeah, because what happens is when you do that, and by the way, those services are quite good. I've actually tested many of them, and I like them a lot. But there's a missing part there. So, and that missing part is the organizing before you have it scanned is so important, because if you don't do that, then all you've done is taken thousands of images that were unorganized under your bed and moved 1,000 images or thousands of images that are unorganized onto your computer, and then you're still just as overwhelmed. So the part of what digitizing family memories is that before you do the scanning, however you do the scanning, you do a little research. You try to get some information about the photos, the who, what, when, where kind of stuff. Get that information so that when you do digitize it, then you can add the metadata right away, and you're not looking at this giant library with thousands of images, and again, now you're just going, I don't know where to start again. You know, and in applications like Lightroom Creative Cloud, it has a nifty little thing that lets you adjust the metadata for the date. So, I mean, that's a big problem, because when an image gets scanned, it's whenever it was scanned, right? Well, the shot was probably taken in 1955. Well, you want that date on there, and like Lightroom lets you do that. So if you have that as part of your workflow as you go through, then you have something comprehensible at the end of the scanning process instead of just this big thing. It's like when you move, right? When you move from one house to another, you have an opportunity to clean and thin out. That's what a lot of people do.
Yep.
Do you want to just take all your dirty laundry and all the junk from one house and just put it in the new house? Or do you want to kind of thin it out and clean it in between? I like thinning it out and cleaning it in between.
I love that. So then just give us a kind of a bird's eye view of the process. So you mentioned Lightroom's in there and changing metadata. What, just not to, to give the milk away, what's sort of the flow from, okay, I got the shoebox, I'm ready, and I got Derrick's stuff here, I'm going to get started, all the way through to the end where I'm happy that monkey's off my back, and my family's happy because now they have access to everything. Kind of 30,000 foot view. What does that look like?
Yeah. So first, you pick your 100, right, to get started.
Yeah.
And then you research each of those 100, and a lot of times you might know the stuff off the top of your head. You may need some help, but you try to get the who, what, when, and where as best you can. And then a lot of times, if we're, let's say we're dealing with snapshots in this particular thing, I'll just have a Post-it note, stick it on the back of the snapshot, and so get the basic metadata. Then you scan it, and when you scan it, depending on how you scan it, we have all these different ways. Like, for instance, if you use the Epson Fast Photo, if you got a bunch of prints, then it allows you to add metadata, during the scanning process. So then you can batch these things up because you know what they are, right? You've done some work. So you can batch these up and add a little metadata as you go. That saves you from having to do it later on. So then you add the metadata, and then the last step is you actually create a catalog in Lightroom, Photos, Capture One Pro, whatever you happen to use, and you organize it. And I recommend having these in a separate catalog. This is an ongoing project. You'll never probably ever have it completely done, but you can have it 80% done or 70% done, because people keep getting, especially once they know you're doing it, then you're going to get more stuff. And
yeah, absolutely.
At least you'll get it. That's the basic flow. And a key part is getting some information about the images before scanning, and then finding a way to connect those two.
Yeah, and it's like, the more I think about it, you get it to a point, like you said, you'd probably never be finished, but at least you can get it to a point where you feel comfortable handing the archival duties off to someone else.
Exactly.
Saying, here's the football. It's all set up for you. This is how you do this, X, Y, and Z. And here's Derrick's chorus, too, just so you know how I did it. Carry on for the next decade, right? Until you find another. Yeah, well, you should add that. You should add the transferring piece, transferring of authority piece to the chorus.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Well, what does it look like, Derrick, in terms of the hardware, though? So, Capture One or Lightroom or Photos, whatever your tool of choice is. But on the hardware side, are they scanning? Do they need to go out and buy a high-end drum scanner or some big piece of equipment, or rent it in order to do all the scanning? Or is there some other secret Derrick Story method that they can use?
No secret, but I'll tell you, if you have a lot of snapshots in particular, prints is the thing that you have the most of. Or I think a good investment is the Epson Fast Photo, FAST-FOTO scanner. I love that thing. I have it, and you just put a stack in there and it goes boom, 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 boom.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And you can add metadata as you go. It will do image correction as you go. It does a lot of really nice stuff. And in my case, I like using Photos for sharing these photos from macOS. It'll put the images right in Photos in an album for you. It'll just really make your life easy. So there are some tips that way. Some of the software for the iPhone will allow you to put like 4 or 5 images on a white sheet of, a white cardboard. And then it'll identify each image individually, and it'll give you 4 individual files with one scan. That'll save you time. Wow. And then your flatbed scanner is fantastic. And again, they're very smart. They'll detect objects. And so you put 4 or 5 on there, you get 4 or 5 individual shots. It can really save you a lot of time. And then, of course, the commercial guys, are a good way to go, too, if you don't want to do the scanning.
I love that. See, you're inspiring me to reach into the recesses under the bed. It's like way in the back, just out of reach is where those images are. So just one more question just on technique in terms of resolution. Whenever I look at an image that needs to be scanned, one of the things that goes through my head is, what resolution should I be scanning this thing at? Is JPEG enough? Should I go with TIFF, PSD, and then obviously the file format. Is it resolution? What's the formula for resolution and file format when scanning images that are archival? Yeah,
I mean, this is where your individual preferences do come into play a little bit, because personally, if I'm doing a lot of stuff, I like the highest resolution my scanner will do as a JPEG, and I think that works out, really well. It keeps this thing from being ginormous. However, I will say on images that I really like, I'll do them as a TIFF if I'm doing print, and I'll scan them as a RAW file if they're negative or slide. And those are the ones that, again, going back to our regular photo shoot, they're going to be shots that you go, this is way cool. I want it the best that it can be. But you're not going to have time to do that to every shot. Some stuff's just got to move through. That stuff, do the highest resolution your scanner will do, and as a JPEG, and I think you'll be in pretty good shape.
Cool. All right. If people want to grab this, they're watching this and they, okay, yeah, all right, this scratches the itch that I had. Where do they go to get that back scratcher?
Just go to thenimble.photographer.com, click on workshops, and it'll be there. I have both online and physical workshops there.
Awesome. Very cool. Derrick Story, thank you for coming on, man. What's next for Derrick Story? I mean, as we record this, we're coming up on the end of May 2020.
Yes.
So who knows if I want to say we're at the end of this pandemic thing, but who knows? I don't want to jinx it. We're still in it right now. In California, much of California is still on lockdown. What's next for you, in the midst of all this stuff and just general?
Yeah, so I think the next thing I'm going to work on, in fact, I'm almost done with it now, is I have it right here, the essential steps to impressive video conferencing.
Yes. See, you always skate to where the puck is. You're always skate to where the puck is going. I love that. Well, cool. So what are you covering in that? Let me guess. Okay. How to look. Let me put the camera on you. How to look like this and sound like this on your next video teleconference. Right? What's the TLC of that?
Yeah. So it's video, audio, and environment. I break it down into those three areas. And again, just like with digitizing, lots of options in all three areas so that you can find what you want, maybe something that works right now, something to aspire to, but just how to clean up your act and how to, if you're a business meeting, interview, hanging out with family, how not to be the one that, everyone's going, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what, Frederick, we're going to be doing this from now on. This is the new thing. So let's up our game.
Yeah, I agree. I tell people all the time, it's, this whole how you present yourself it goes back to just fundamentals in 101, right? First impressions are lasting impressions. And,
yes.
For all the pluses and minuses, the car that you drive and how you maintain the car you drive, how you dress and how you maintain yourself, all that says something about you, as does your video and audio quality when you get on, the line with somebody that you're meeting for the first time. So
it does. And we're watching stuff all the time and going, wow, some stuff I like, some stuff I don't like. I want to be in the category where people go, oh, yeah, that looks okay. So, let's get the lighting from the front, let's get the microphone close to the mouth,
Yeah.
But there's actually a lot of nuance that as I really dug into it, I really enjoyed working on it.
I love it. Well, cool, man. It's good to see that you're keeping busy. You're always crushing it. You're always educating. Like, I think that's a condition you have, Derrick's Story. The consummate educator. You cannot not educate. I love it.
I must teach.
Yeah, I must teach. I can't stop. Okay, so thenimbblephotographer.com is the domain. All roads lead there. So if they want to sign up for this course or the next one, they can just head over there or check out the podcast, etc. Sign up for your Patreon, all that stuff, right?
It's all good. It's all good there.
Very cool. Derrick Story, man, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you.
Frederick, thanks for having me.
All right, take care. This is Twitter.